Hey everyone, Pupsker here, and today in Warframe, we're going to be talking about how to run Archon hunts in order to get Archon Shards, which are endgame upgrades, kind of like mods, as well as weekly upgrade items. Pretty much, it's a sortie that gets you Archon Shards. So here's how Archon hunts work. They are technically one of the endgame, late game Warframe like shenanigan ideas of weeklies. So you need to complete the new war, Veilbreaker, etc., in order to finish it and actually do it. Once you complete the Veilbreaker mission, you can unlock Archon hunts essentially. And it is a weekly sortie with a boss at the end, and the bosses are one of the 3 Archons from the New War quest. Whoa! So, all things considered, pretty cool, pretty nice. And the mechanics of those bosses work pretty much the same as the ones in the New War quest. So, if you've done it, you know how to do it. All the bosses are pretty simple. It's just kill them, hit them, make sure to survive, stay away from their abilities when they do weird things, either bubble, go close and attack them, or if they multiply, just kill them all, right? It even tells you how to handle the abilities while you're fighting them half the time, so it's really not that bad. But it has the same requirements as like a general sortie, right? Rank 30 Warframes, you gotta have polarized at least once, right? Brought into the Archon hunts. Weird type of general setup, but you can't use low tier stuff for Archon hunts. Feels bad, man. Cry, 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 cry. So Archon hunts work the exact same as a sortie. 3 missions, right? First mission, it's usually like an exterminate, mobile defense, capture, sabotage, rescue type of thing. Then the second one is a longer one, survival defense type missions, right? And then the last one is the assassination Archon hunt. There's Boreal, Amar, and Naira, and all of the Archons do have 2 stages. They're pretty simple overall. All you would need to do is make sure you have a survivable enough Warframe. Support frames are really nice, right? Some handful of tank Warframes like Gara, Revenant, really nice. Think about it, damage increases work pretty well and are also very nice. So Rhino works well, and there are certain metas to this right now. It's high level missions, so they are like level 100, 150-ish type stuff, so keep that in mind. The enemies also have some buffs and stuff, and you can also do the weekly items that give buffs. So like Warframes as well as weapons get different damage buffs, same as like the sortie, I think. No, sortie is a little different, it doesn't do that. But for Archon hunts, it does. Weekly, I can equip it on this one, a Nija for a 300% strength and 500 health bonus, and I can equip the Ballistica, Dragoon, or Keratonus for a 300% damage boost on that. So if maybe you have those weapons, right, the weekly ones that give you a boost, you have that weapon / Warframe, you can go into those and get a nice buff. But yeah, I believe ciphers are disabled on this, and enemies have health increases based on how many people are in the party, and just generally they're buffed. It's kind of like a steel path type activity. Higher amounts of Eximus units, and a lot of abilities will not work on Archons. Tons of abilities just do not work on Archons, right? Tons of like targeting type damage abilities, Protea turrets don't work. Ton of just AoE damage won't even work. It's insane. So Protea's kit, the only real thing that works properly is shields and her ability to throw down her 3rd ability. So Protea's kit's a little weak against these. That's why I tend to run stronger Warframes if I remember, such as like Revenant is my favorite boy. Rhino, Nija, because they have shields. Always good with shields, right? You can run everything if you truly choose. If you're running Nova, you're just gonna probably not have the best time. Nova's still good overall, but like, you are better off using some self-buffing, damage-increasing type frames, such as Mirage, if you want to just do more damage, or use buffing frames like Wisp if you want to survive and have a better time. And you can also just throw in your tank frames like Rhino, Revenant, etc., etc. There's a ton of buff frames that are great, right? But general CC is not going to do shit against an Archon, and a ton of damage abilities just won't properly work. Yeah, Archons have status caps to 4, so you can't status proc them like a billion times. They have damage attenuation, so the game tries to make it so that you can't instantly or very quickly kill them, so there's a lot of shenanigans around them. The meta a lot of people do is use the weapon Kuva Heck, because it uses a lot of rounds all at once, or like a lot of hits all at once, and if you attack the enemy before damage attenuation goes into effect, you can get a huge damage boost. So people like to use a hugely damage increasing Kuva Heck, as well as use Warframes like Rhino for a lot of damage buffs. There are 3 shards you can get on constant rotation: Crimson, Amber, and Azure shards, and there's a 20% base chance of getting a Tau Forged version, which is just 50% better stats, right? The 20% builds every time you fail, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 until you definitely get the Tau Forged shard. And yeah, the Tau Forged shards stay depending on which of the Archons you're fighting. Archon Amar is the Crimson shard, Archon Naira is the Amber shard, and Archon Boreal is the Azure shard. All of the shards do different things. Crimson one is more damage based. You get, I think, like strength, good stuff. Azure one's also nice. You can get it's more defensive, I believe, technically. And the Amber one is more mobility based. So that one is also good, but it more so depends what you're trying to run, but it is still really good, so wouldn't be too mad at that. The rewards are pretty much the same as a sortie. I'll quickly flash that on screen for people who are curious. It's good loot. It's nothing too bad. Not really angry at it or anything, but yeah, could be better. So generally, I would just say run publics, use Warframes you like: Trinity, Oberon, Wisp, all good frames randomly, right? Rhino, favorite, Najah's good, Revenant, also great. And that's just kind of how it goes. Archon hunts are, all things considered, pretty simple. Last but not least, if we just take a quick look, I'll turn off Twitch chat, at the Archon hunt menu here, you can see it's simple. I already killed the Amber Archon once this week, so I got this drop. I failed it, so now it's at a 40%. This was Archon Naira, right? It shows you empowered enemies, no respawns really, so make sure people respawn you, stuff like that. And you also can't properly use consumables, so keep that in mind. And this was the bonuses I was talking about earlier. And yeah, it's just same as a general run of a sortie. That's the drop rotation table. I'll throw up, or already threw up, the percentages. Not too bad. Let's quickly take a look at the actual Archon Shards and what they do, and then we'll call her a day, because the Archon Shards can be put on at the Helminth. If you don't know what the Helminth is, you are missing out. It's a Nummy Nom Nom's My Helminth. You just go up here to the Archon Shard section, and here is how it looks. You have the amount of Archon Shards in the top right, all of that, etc., etc., and you just throw it on. It shows you what they do. I said earlier that these ones are more utility, right, or movement. Sorry, I meant utility, but it has movement. So velocity, casting speed, effectiveness on energy, effectiveness on health orbs, maximum energy fill, casting speed, most hype, but hey, not that bad. Then we have some of our Crimson, which are more damage. Secondary crit, primary crit, melee crit, ability strength, ability duration, right? Oh, duration's on the Crimson. I thought duration was on the Azure. My bad, my bad. So overall, not that bad, right? Very strong. It's probably why a lot of people prefer getting the Crimson Shards, just for big damage number, go burr, as well as duration strength is really nice. But last but not least, or maybe it is last, is Archon Shard, Azure. This one is pure defensive. Okay, no, this is the worst one. I actually take that back. This is the one I hate the most. That being said, you can still do dope-ass builds if you want to do more of a tanky frame, right? You can get a ton of armor, which is actually pretty sweet. You can get a good amount of health regen, right? You got energy max, which is like kind of like just a prime flow, right? Shield and HP capacity is probably the weakest out of there, depending on what you're going for, but you can still build for it if you so choose. So it's all in all really nice, but that's the overalls of Archon fights and Azure, all the Archon Shards, and how to fight Archons. But again, the boss fights are in 1-2 stages. The bosses all fight the exact same as the new war. The mechanics are all the same. And if you're kind of curious about it, just pay attention to what's going on in stream or on screen and listen to the game telling you what to do, because it literally tells you, right? When the enemy teleports all around and there's multiples of it, it says shoot the one that's holding weapons and then they'll all go away, right? When the, I think Owl Archon, I can't remember what it's fully called, I'm bad with the names. When it does its AoE pool and starts regenning health, you go up to it, run at it, and kill it, right? It's pretty simple, you just gotta pay attention, and if you've completed the new war, it's the exact same, but they're like pretty strong, right? Empowered enemies. So, as always, if the video helped, if you like it, subscribe, like, check out my Twitch at Pupsker, twitch.tv/Pupsker. I have the Pupsker Genshin channel and all that jazz. Appreciate it. Thank you.